Tonight, no Marvel Studios at San Diego Comic-Con at home. We got Bad Batch series coming. Also, Hayden Christensen signing on to Obi-Wan series. What? On Comic Book Canon. It is Friday, and it is tough for me to get words out. I don't know what the hell is going on, but I am happy to be here with all of you. I'm also happy to be here with my co-host and partner in crime, Chris. How are you, Chris?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. We got some great things to talk about today.
It is beautiful indeed. My surroundings are different, as you can see. I'm in transition for a few things here, but I did try and make it a little bit like home by posting my three new Alpha Flight #1 acquisitions. I don't know if you can see them. Yeah. A+ right there. Really enjoying them. All right. So, Chris, we got a fun show tonight. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of news. We have a brand new segment. We have a friend of the show who's going to be on here as well, live. We should just get right into it, though, with the news. Marvel, what the hell, man? Comic-Con is just around the corner, and you're telling us that you are not going to be a part of it? What is going on, Chris?
Yeah. So, man, I don't know how to think what to think of this for the most part, but we know that Marvel Studios will not have a panel at all at Comic-Con at home, which will be obviously this year's rendition of San Diego Comic-Con. I'm like boggled by this. We are all sitting at home with nothing to do. We have this amazing new platform where we can open up our phones and our computers to dive into a Comic-Con virtually, and there's nothing Marvel Studios. Okay, now here's the thing. We can look at this good and bad, and you know, I'm going to take my personal feelings towards it out of it for a minute. Let's just focus on some of the kind of negatives surrounding this. There's obviously there's nothing. It's complete and utter silence. There's no teaser trailer for the Eternals movie, no trailer for the Winter Soldier show that is seemingly to be pushed back now because of production and post-production delays and so forth. It just really boggles my mind that fans are not going to leave with some kind of emptiness in their chest to know that there is nothing, no breadcrumbs fed to them, okay? But let's look at some positive things here. I think at the end of the day, Marvel Studio knows that they are a brand in and of themselves, that behind the man, Kevin Feige, I'll call him the Man of Steel for, all purposes here. This guy cannot be touched. And when we look at it from this approach and we say, well, maybe they have something up their sleeve to say, we want to announce things, or we want to push things out to the public right now in a way that works for us, and we can do it on our own. We don't need Comic-Con to be piggyback off of. We can really still be successful and still make sure that we pull in our fan base as much as we need to by doing this on our own, and we know that there's been a lot of production delays on almost everything that they're doing, and I can understand them being cautious about, wanting to push things forward to the public. But still, even though I can sit and take this positive approach to say, well, all things good and all things Kevin Feige and MCU, I still just am left, feeling a bit empty here.
Empty in my heart as well, because these are the things we look forward to. I mean, wasn't it just last year? It seems like 10 years ago. But wasn't it just last year where the whole cast of the Eternals came out and it was announced? And like the excitement, just seeing the characters, the character designs, the actors that are going to, it was just like, it was like almost as exciting as Avengers when they first announced, that cast and crew. So not to have that excitement there this year, it just leaves something empty. Now DC's got the DC fandom next month. That leaves us hopeful for nuggets of news, because obviously they're not going to bring anything to San Diego Comic-Con at home either. So it's going to be kind of really I hate to say it. I mean, don't call me a pessimist here, but I don't know if you agree, but it's going to be pretty lackluster in my opinion. Am I right?
You are right to feel that. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. It can blow our minds, in terms of this new setting and kind of environment, and how fans are going to perceive and interact with everything going on. So, you know, that doesn't mean that there's not something there for everyone or others that maybe are into something other than MCU and DCEU. But I mean, yeah, I think a lot of us are at least sitting here like with that big question mark, feeling a bit empty to say like, you know, we really feel shorted here. But like I said, let's wait and see what happens. You know, Comic-Con in and of itself could be a success still. But I think a lot of us are not in the wrong to sit and say, yeah, it's like, wow, we were really hoping for more.
Yeah, I mean, last thing I'll say about this, maybe the success will come out of this format of having it virtual, because the following year, if they can combine both of those things, it'll be a force to reckon with moving forward, because more people globally will be able to share in that experience and will be able to feel like they are there as part of the group as a whole, getting these trailers and things like that. So yeah, but moving on, something that probably should have been announced at Comic-Con. We got word this week that Disney Plus will have a new show based on The Bad Batch. The Bad Batch, as most of you know, was introduced in the Clone Wars season 7, an epic season. So me personally, I'm super excited about this announcement. As the press release says, the series follows the elite and experimental clones of the Bad Batch, first introduced in the Clone Wars. As they find their way in a rapidly changing galaxy in the immediate aftermath of the Clone War, members of the Bad Batch, a unique squad of clones who vary genetically from their brothers in the clone army, each possess a singular exceptional skill which makes them extraordinarily effective soldiers and a formidable crew. In the post-Clone War era, they will take on daring mercenary missions as they struggle to stay afloat and find a new purpose. I think the big question here is how they weren't affected by Order 66, considering technically they are clones. All of those clones are going to be returning: Hunter, Wrecker, Tech, Crosshair, and Echo, who was rescued by those 4 when they were first introduced in Season 7. Super exciting. Dave Filoni is going to be executive producer on this. So for me, this is absolutely exciting news. And my question is, why didn't they wait to announce this at Comic-Con? You know, that's one less thing that's going to be announced, and like, again, leading me to believe things could be a little bit lackluster.
Yeah, you know, I have the answer for that. It's because they wanted us here at Comic Book Canon to be the breakers of the news. We are the formidable source.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm just after kidding. IGN, after comicbook.com, but yes, thank you all you who are watching right now. We are breaking this news to you now if you haven't heard it yet.
Hey, I agree with you though. Like, I was thinking the same thing. It's like, this is perfect. This would be perfect, you know, for that kind of platform. But regarding the show itself, I think this is great. I think bringing the animated Star Wars realm of things to Disney Plus really is opening it up beyond what, you know, Disney XD could do with some animated series. So I think they're taking that step forward. Yeah. It just shows another positive of what Disney Plus is doing with all these franchise, Marvel, Star Wars, and so forth. So I'm absolutely looking forward to it. And I really think this is obviously on top of Clone Wars Season 7. This is just another piece in that stepping stone of where Disney is really getting control of Star Wars in a whole, in the path that it needs to be going.
Yep, I am extremely excited about this. Disney Plus, in my opinion, is killing it. The anticipation is killing me, especially with the shutdown and the delays on all the productions. But again, super excited. So moving on from that, though, Chris, from super exciting to super interesting, what do we got?
This is my favorite talking point this week, guys. I am an advocate. You probably hear me on my channel talking a lot about the health of the comic book industry. And I know that there's a lot of naysayers out there that are even collectors that they themselves talk about, oh, you know, this is ruining the industry. This is ruining the hobby. This is ruining that. This is ruining this. It has been reported, the numbers are in, 2019 comic book sales have blown every year before it completely out of the water. Comic book sales for 2019 were at an all-time high of over $1.2 billion. That's an 11% increase over 2018, while 2018 showed an $80 million increase over 2017. Now, so the real interesting thing here is that, yes, this pertains specifically to individual standalone issues as well, because there's a lot of talk, oh, you know, nobody's buying comics anymore. It's all digital. This is specifically graphic novel and individual issue sales. It does not include digital. The data does show that there's more sales in trade paperbacks and graphic novels, a lot of that being the young reader options. And a big seller last year, guess who? Miles Morales. So that goes to something else that we've been talking about Miles being that next gen icon and these young readers really getting into these characters. But also we saw a 5% increase from standalone single issues. That's huge. Another trend that we should recognize as well is that 6 of the last 7 years have seen substantial increases, with 800 million total in 2012. While the last 5 years have seen have hit the $1 billion mark. 5 years in a row, the comic book industry in print has made over $1 billion. That is huge. And it goes to the point that, look, this hobby, this industry is more healthy than it's ever been before. When you adjust for inflation, the only years that even come close are the early 90s during that boom. And some would say, well, you see what happened after those years and it crashed and all that. Like I said before, just because the health is where it is now and the profits are where they are now doesn't mean that it reflects what was going on in the early 90s, because the industry is completely different. I believe the industry has learned its lesson from the 90s. The industry is more healthy than ever before, and this is just extremely positive news that I think is going to continue in the years to come.
Yeah, I love hearing this as well. Again, I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but with all that has happened in the past 5 months too, though, with COVID, that's got to suck a little bit away from this. And I'm wondering if there's any way for them to factor in the aftermarket. I'm sure these calculations have nothing to do with that, because the aftermarket probably picked up big time. If you're going to be looking at graphs, probably picked up big time, considering there are no new comic books coming out. There are no new movies coming out. I literally went to the comic book shop today for the first time with my daughter and purchased something in person today, and had this conversation with him that he was lucky. This specific LCS, this owner, he was lucky because he had 11,000 items on like eBay and Amazon and stuff beforehand. So he was set up. And he said it's just nobody, they had money to spend, and this is where they went, was the aftermarket. But it's good. They're going to take a hit this year, but it's so nice to know that it is healthy. And I think this time here, for people to have time to get into it, the Miles, like just being on fire and bringing all these new readers in, I think it's just fantastic.
Absolutely. I agree too. I think it's going to be tough to judge the numbers from 2020 when all is said and done. I don't think it's going to look extremely horrible. But you know, it's going to be skewed. And you're right, though. Something to really take into consideration is that secondary market. That's a little tougher to track. But like you just said too, regardless, there's going to be positive things from this shutdown too. And that is the fact that more and more people, especially young people, are having time to get into the hobby. So, you know, as much as maybe this shutdown, especially with the closure of Diamond for those couple months, may affect 2020's numbers in general, how about looking at possible surges month to month going forward into the fall for everything opening back up, books continuing to be published and distributed, and now more people saying, well, shoot, I want some new comics. So that's something that we can look forward to as well. Yeah.
Again, super happy about this report. But I'm gonna switch gears here and just give you kind of a deflated kind of a delivery on this next news piece, because I'm not excited about it. I don't even know why we're reporting it. Chris just was like, "Oh, we gotta keep this one." That's not true, really. But we did want 6 news stories just to keep it kind of even. So yeah, we got our first look at Hellstrom this week. Cool. What
does that first look like?
How about this? I'm gonna get to the details first, and then I'm gonna show them the first look. So it's gonna be on Hulu in October. It's the character, the son of Satan, trying not to be what Satan is. I've never been into this character, Chris. I think we've talked. You haven't really been in it either. But we'll go to pictures. Sorry, guys. I'm just not excited about this show, and I hope I will be if I watch it. But here we go. Here's our first look at Sydney Lemon as Anna and Tom Austin as Damien Hellstrom, the lead. Quite interesting there. It looks like they're in a nice kind of house. Our second look here is Damien Hellstrom, again, the lead character. Our next look here is Ariana Guerrera as Gabriella Rossetti. Then we have another picture here. We got June Carroll as Dr. Louise Hastings and Robert Wisdom as the caretaker. And then another one here, again, Sydney Lemon as Anna Hellstrom and Alana Yu and Chris Young. So those are our pictures. Chris, are you excited about Hellstrom?
Well, here's my thing. I'm not necessarily excited about this, but the reason why I think it's important to talk about this is because there's a lot of questions that are circling around this. This, to my assumption, is going to be Marvel Television's last production. Where we have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wrapping up, which honestly, I will say, I think they're doing a decent job wrapping up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now. I'm extremely entertained by this last season, but this show, here, let me just put the questions out there. First question: why are they even putting this out when they're canning Marvel Television and they want to streamline Marvel Studios? My possible answers to that is maybe they just the money that was invested into it, and they were so far along with it. Why not? Okay, but the other question that I think might be valid and important is that Kevin Feige wants this to be put forth for viewers to judge and to see if as kind of like a guinea pig, because it's going to go on the Hulu platform, and this can be a kind of a guinea pig to show like what shows like this can do on these platforms, but under the Marvel Studio brand. We know that, or we're pretty assured that Marvel Studios is really diving into their horror genre, and that's going to come out in the cinemas or on some of these platforms like Hulu, because they most likely won't be on Disney Plus. So if they take a dark tone with this show, I don't know what the rating is. I'm assuming it's going to be TV mature. But if they could take a really dark tone with the show and not make it some kind of like, a Constantine or Lucifer bite that it borderlines Vampire Diaries, CW kind of soap opera stuff. This may be something that could get fans' attention to say, look, kind of this horror, gore type of really dark, violent show on a platform like Hulu can work. We see that now. So now let's dive into bringing these other Marvel Studios properties onto streaming services like Hulu. That's why I think it's important to look at this and question it. I don't know. It's all just up in the air. I really don't know if any of these questions are valid.
Yeah, Marvel Studios has nothing to lose with this. This was already in production. It was already down the road by the time that Kevin Feige took over everything, okay? So, again, it was they couldn't have shut this down because they are already invested monetarily. They shut down Ghost Rider, and I cannot remember what the other one was, but they were all supposed to connect here. So Marvel Studios has nothing to lose. If this is an amazingly popular show, they could definitely bring it in and bring it into the fold. So we'll see. Sorry for my lack of enthusiasm. Chris was not at fault for this. I was actually at fault for keeping this story in. But this next story, I am super psyched about, and Chris is going to be telling you all about this one.
Yeah, if this happens, count me in. I'm all ready for it. Hayden Christensen. That name has came up often over the years, you know, would Hayden Christensen ever return as Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader? Okay, all right. Grain of salt, right? Grain of salt. Rumors are in, and let's look at what these rumors are, okay? What we know. Hayden Christensen made an appearance in last year's annual Star Wars celebration, okay? That sparked so much talk, so much talk. We also know that he lent his voice at the end of Rise of Skywalker, assumingly to be the voice of himself as a Force ghost, talking to Rey. So these are what we know. And that's about it. Everything else is rumor. But those rumors are, as stated by LRM Online, and I quote, they say that their source states that this is a done deal and was set to be announced at this year's Star Wars celebration, which has now been canceled due to the COVID crisis. They also state that their source says this will be a key role and not just a guest cameo. Now, they also go on to say that Hayden most likely will not don the Vader suit, but might appear in, quote, dream sequences or flashbacks. Now, here's where it becomes problematic for me. If Hayden Christensen is a character in the Obi-Wan series, I do believe I forgot to add that in its context. This is to appear in the Obi-Wan Disney Plus series. I apologize about that. If he shows up in this series as a key character and he is never in the Vader suit, it brings up a lot of questions, because we know the Obi-Wan series is going to take place after Anakin Skywalker turns into Darth Vader and he's in the Vader suit and he needs a suit to survive, basically. So the only other thing I could possibly think of to where you can bring him into a key role is what we saw in the recent trilogy with Rian Johnson's take on force projection. So is Anakin going to be force projecting himself to Obi-Wan or other individuals where he is shown outside of the Vader suit? Because to have him in flashback sequences or dream sequences, I don't see that as something that could be often reoccurring to where it works cohesively with the storyline. So we shall see. Again, take this with a grain of salt. This is so up in the air right now. I don't even know if we should even trust this source, but I will tell you, it's extremely exciting, and I want this to happen. I want it to happen 100%.
I'm down. I'm with you, man. I am down. I would love to see this again. The way that the Clone Wars have kind of redeemed the prequels, I think bringing him and furthering that, this could be a way of furthering that if they do it right. And The Mandalorian was so good. Like I kind of trust these people behind these series to see it through. And shit, if they want to bring Anakin back in a way, or who knows? Yeah, who knows? I don't care. I don't care how it's done. I would like to see how they would do it. So we'll see. Speaking of somebody returning in a role, this one again with a grain of salt, but it's something really exciting for the possibility. John Berenthal, everybody loved him as the Punisher. Could we possibly see him come back as that character in the MCU? It was reported in another, and we got this covered. Again, grain of salt. A lot of people kind of are not into. Are kind of skeptical what they report. It was reported that there would be a reboot with Berenthal reprising the role as Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, on FX or Hulu, and to keep it more mature and kind of away from a Disney Plus or even within kind of the Marvel movies. They could possibly call it Punisher War Journal. Again, keeping that gritty tone within the MCU. I would love to see John Berenthal come back. I would love to see Daredevil, Charlie Cox come back. I would love to see most of the Defenders except for Iron Fist come back, because I really thought those were very well done. And if there's any truth to this rumor, man, I think that'd be a great move to kind of keep going. Like I love the grit of the Netflix shows. I don't know. What about you, Chris?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, look, it's tough. I think when we talk about anything regarding the Netflix series, Punisher and Daredevil are right up there as my top to bring back. But if I had to pick just one, it'd have to be Berenthal as the Punisher, because I felt that his performance was Emmy award winning. I absolutely think he should have won an Emmy for his role as the Punisher. This is a character that has so much possibility, and this is an actor that has brought the depth to this character that where they failed 3 times before on the big screen. So if the MCU brings back the Punisher in any capacity and they do not bring this actor back with that character, I think that'll be the first huge mistake outside of casting Ed Norton that the MCU would have made. This needs to happen. The fact that they can bring it onto Hulu is a perfect example of, just like we were talking about the possibility with Hellstrom and bringing these more violent, gritty shows into the MCU while still keeping them away from Disney Plus, or keeping your main cinematic MCU films at the PG-13 rating. I mean, it's just, there's no reason why this shouldn't and couldn't work. And as far as I'm concerned, I think we should be rallying around this. We need to get petitions signed to make this happen. Kevin Feige, this has, period.
Yeah, man, I'm down with it too, 100%. As I said, I do want to point out, though, before we move on from the news here, one of our new viewers here, Mike, he pointed something out there. That Amazing Spider-Man 129 displaying nice, Sterno. Everybody, if you've been watching the show, you know that this was a grail for Chris, and everybody, I give him props, kudos, round of applause for actually getting that.
I never thought the day would come.
Oh, Kid Collector too.
I'm excited.
Sterno's Amazing Spider-Man 129 about to spike.
Yes.
And before we go on, we have a very special guest waiting for us actually right now. Really appreciate his patience and the time he spent. But Mike Sears, a Punisher character in the MCU, if done right, could be the MCU version of Batman and should be a standalone movie, much like the Joker. I don't agree with that because I want to see him in the MCU. I want to see that. Yeah, I don't want that standalone. But Mike, that's a good thought. Yeah. Berenthal is the guy. No matter what's done with the character, he's the guy.
Right. It would work. It would work. Absolutely. And I agree with that part of it. But to your point, right. We don't just want that. We want him there in the universe as well.
Yeah. All right. So we are moving on from the news. This was an interesting news week again. Things may be slowing down because we may have some pops come San Diego Comic-Con. Let's hope. But that's all we can do right now is hope. Right now, we have a brand new segment that we're debuting tonight on Comic Book Canon. It's called Props or Slops. Basically, give us something you are passionate about, whether it be something that you are praising or something you are completely dogging. You're going to give us props or slops. So longtime viewer, Johnny Zuko is here, and he's going to give us an interesting take on something. Well, actually, let's let him introduce it. Johnny Zuko, thank you for joining us. How are you?
Good. How about you guys?
We're doing well. We're doing well. So what's going to happen here, too, with props or slops? As you all know by now, Comic Book Canon is a very high-tech show. Our set design is second to none. Just want to mention again those 3 Alpha flights I have. I just got them within the past week. Set design second to none. Lighting, woo! But we also have the tech. To do a countdown, Johnny Zuko. You will only have 5 minutes. 5 minutes to tell us props or slops on a specific topic. And I'm going to set it with my timer right here. And we'll go from there. All right, Johnny Zuko, are you ready? Because we're taking Chris and myself out. The show will be yours.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go from there. All right?
Do this.
Right.
I'm gonna hit start in a sec. Are you ready though?
Yeah, I'm ready. I got it.
Here we go and go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Johnny Zuko, and I have some props that I want to give to a kind of maligned sequel to a very famous franchise, Batman Forever. Look, it's not Batman and Robin, but if you think about Batman Forever, that show is really more in line with the 1960s Adam West Batman. The way it's so cartoony, the way the colors are, the way they pops. Even the villains are very, very good. Look, you can say what you want about Jim Carrey and his career, but Jim Carrey as the Riddler was the right choice. I'm not sure Robin Williams would have done a better or done that role justice. You know, I mean, Robin Williams has played psychopaths later in his career, but they did come off as well. But there's just something really unhinged about Jim Carrey playing Edward Nygma. And Edward Nygma is unhinged. He's a very intelligent narcissist that is unhinged. He is the prototype to Jigsaw. I would have loved to see Billy D. Williams as Two-Face, but Tommy Lee Jones killed it as Two-Face. I mean, you can't deny that. The way he was so over the top. Yeah, his makeup looks like some leftovers from a Freddy Krueger movie, but you know what? It works. And look, Val Kilmer might not have been the perfect choice at that time, and Val Kilmer is mostly known as a character actor and not really known as a leading man. But honestly, I think he nailed the Bruce Wayne aspect of that character. I think he played Bruce Wayne the way it needed to be played. And if you really think about it, Tim Burton's Batman didn't really focus on the Bruce Wayne life of that character. It didn't. It was really mostly about Batman. This one had a nice balance between Bruce Wayne and Batman, and I thought that was really great. I don't like Chris O'Donnell as Robin, but you know, when I saw Batman Forever, seeing Robin on the screen, that blew my mind. It's like, oh my God, that was awesome. Like, dude. So it might be nostalgia, but I don't think this film should get that much hate. Look, I'm not saying it's top tier Batman. You know, when it comes to Batman films, it's 89 Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Begins, and then Dark Knight. Fight me. Yeah, Dark Knight's number 4 on that list. Okay, Batman Returns is probably one of the best sequels of all time. Burton was just firing on all cylinders. Batman Forever, though, if you take Batman Forever and just take it as its own movie, don't even take it as a sequel to Burton's films. Yes, it has the same characters and all that, but if you take Batman Forever and make it a standalone film, that film will do wonders for you. It is such a great movie. Joe Schumacher knew the character. He knew what he wanted, and that's what it was. You know, and honestly, I did not like the Batmobile. I thought the Batmobile was really ugly, but I kind of grew to love it. It's like, it looks all right. It's not that bad. Look, Batman Forever is a good movie. I don't think it deserves all the hate that it gets. Batman and Robin, yeah, that it deserves all the hate. Like George Clooney as Batman, seriously. I can buy Val Kilmer as Batman because Val Kilmer has this personality about him where he's just very moody, very broody, very, you know, just he looks like a miserable son of a bitch is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? And I think Val Kilmer just nailed Batman. And I just think, and also this does what a lot of other superhero movies don't do. It gives them a palpable threat. It gives them credible threats. It really does. Two-Face, Two-Face and Riddler destroy the Batcave. When are you ever going to see that? When are you going to see like Thanos or like Dr. Doom walk into Avengers Tower and demolish it? You're never going to see that in the MCU. But this one actually had the Riddler go into Batman's home and destroy it. Batman Forever is actually a really good movie. Don't take it as a sequel. Just take it as a standalone film, and you will thank me later. All right, that's it. That's my time. Time. I think I got it. I don't know.
Wow. You did. 7 seconds left. We don't need the timer to go up. Okay. You gave your speech. You gave your rant. You gave specifics. Chris, your thoughts.
Wow, man. See, the one thing that I know that regardless if we agree or disagree, or if I agree or disagree with Zuko, man, I know he always is going to make a strong argument. I think I agreed with like 99% of what he said. Let me just go down the list. First off, Jim Carrey. I agree 100%. You know, I don't understand any backlash for his portrayal. I think I'll just leave it at that. Second, Val Kilmer. I agree 100%. Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne was so Bruce Wayne. And I agree. You know, I still put Michael Keaton up there, and maybe it's not Michael Keaton's fault, but when you see Michael Keaton just outside of a bat suit, it's hard to say, oh, Bruce Wayne. Even my kids who have watched all the movies, you know, who are from a different generation and have a different take on these things, look at Michael Keaton and say, but he's not Bruce Wayne. And I think it does have a lot to do with maybe the writing and really bringing that side of him into the films. I think Val Kilmer did a great job. I also think Val Kilmer did a great job by once he put on that suit, it was at times hard to differentiate that you weren't watching Michael Keaton. Because I think he really did his homework and actually studied the two films before. I absolutely agree about taking this movie as a standalone film. Tim Burton set the bar, and yes, I think Joel Schumacher had the pressure of trying to carry on this world of Burton. But I think he did it in a successful way by, like Zuko said, bringing a little more of that 66 feel into it. Now, I think when they went on for Batman and Robin, they did that too much, and that's part of why it went crashing down. The one thing I probably disagree with Zuko's point, and probably the only thing I disagree with, is Tommy Lee Jones. I don't disagree in totality. I think he did a decent job, but I do feel the writing, I don't know if it was the writing or maybe it was Tommy Lee Jones himself. I do believe his kind of over-the-topness was a little too much Jack Nicholson Joker, and I just saw a little bit of that too much in there. But like I said, this isn't a complete judge on that character. I thought outside of critiquing it to that T, the character fit perfectly well. The dynamic between Jim Carrey's Riddler and him worked perfectly. I thought Nicole Kidman did a great job. I agree, Chris O'Donnell, like I could care less about him as an actor, but Robin was there. And he filled the shoes, and it was fine. I think this was a very, very great breakdown of this film and a very great argument in support of this movie. And also, it had a really dope soundtrack.
Seal. Was it Kissed by a Rose?
PJ Harvey, Seal, Method Man. Yeah. There was a lot of good slappers on that album.
All right. I don't have much to add to this, and I know Johnny has a final thought here, but back when I saw it, I thought it was amazing. Okay, it does not stand up today. And it's not that I'm comparing it as a standalone movie. It does not stand up today. The one thing I was excited about, and still am to this day, was the fact that it was probably the first Easter egg I was ever cognizant of. I don't know if you guys remember that Bruce Wayne mentions Metropolis when Robin's about to leave or go do his thing. So I was like, whoa! They mentioned Metropolis. It's a thing. Johnny Zuko, final thoughts.
I just wanted to say, when it came to Batman and Robin, there are interviews later in Joel Schumacher's career where he said that he really didn't want to do the movie, and it shows. So he was not passionate about Batman and Robin as he was as Batman Forever. I mean, Batman Forever, like Joel Schumacher was just on it, but as in Batman and Robin, he just like he wasn't into it. So that's where I'll not to say that it's okay that he delivered a crap movie. I'm just saying you can see that he wasn't passionate about that movie. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Okay. It was honestly, man, you brought it. You absolutely brought it, and everything you said, there was substance to it, and that's what we want with props or slops. Okay. So moving forward, that's exactly what we want. Johnny Zuko set the standard. Johnny Zuko, thank you so much for joining us. One thing I did forget to add was our amazing high-tech slide here for comic book canon props or slops. But Johnny Zuko, again, thank you so much for joining us. We will have another props and slops coming up maybe next week. But again, something that you're passionate about, you really brought it. Thank you again, Johnny. Have a great night.
You too, guys. Thank you for having me on again.
One thing, though, let's everybody follow at Johnny Zuko. He's on Instagram. I do believe you're on the YouTubes. And it's DMB Johnny Zuko.
DBM Johnny Zuko. That's the boogeyman Johnny Zuko. So
on Twitter, but that's Johnny Zuko right there. That's his handle for Instagram. Please follow him, Johnny Zuko. Thank you so much. Thank you again. Have a good night.
Take care, man.
All right. So we are not done here. Now we're moving on to our top 10 cover price. Top 10. We do this every week. We have fun with it every week. Once again, here we are with our top 10 look at cover price. Cover price, again, we'll explain it to you. Basically, cover price is kind of like it's like a stock index where it covers the top 10 hottest comic books of the week based on sales data. So it's not speculating, it's based on sales data. This week coming in for the top 10, we have Negan Lives #1, cover B, the silver variant. Wildcats #1, a little 90s throwback. Jim Lee, Wildcats #1. I believe because Grifter is coming back into the DC universe. Inhumans #5. That is the first appearance of Elena Belova, who will be, as we spoke about last week, she will be the Black Widow of the MCU moving forward. #7 is Ruins of Ravencroft, Carnage #1. Ultimate Fallout #6 comes in at Ultimate Fallout #4, the first Miles Morales. #5, Black Widow Marvel Knights, first solo Elena Belova again. Elena Belova. #4, The Old Guard #1. That's the new movie that was just released on Netflix. #3, War of Realms, The New Agents of Atlas #1. First appearance of Arrow, Luna, Snow. #2, The Blue Beetle #3. First appearance of Peacemaker, who is rumored to make an appearance in Suicide Squad. And #1, for #5, first appearance of Black Winter. Donny Cates is bringing that magic as he always does. But what we like to do here, we do a little bit differently. Most people kind of cover each book. We cover a lot of things in the show as a whole. So we like to take bits and pieces here, and Chris likes to dissect a few interesting books that he wants to talk about and kind of cover. So Chris, here you go.
All right, #3 on the list, counting down. 2 books, a double whammy, not a double whammy, a double punch. Yelena Belova, man, on fire. Obviously, we're going to see her in the Black Widow film. Hopefully, sooner than later. Please, world, let's get these movie theaters open. Inhumans #5, her first appearance. The Black Widow Marvel Knights series, her first solo run. This character has a bright future in both the comics and obviously the MCU. We know why it's up there. Obviously, the MCU. We know how movie hype ties in. We talked about it last week. You know, Natasha Romanoff was an amazing character played by Scarlett Johansson in the MCU, and her run was just phenomenal, right? I am extremely excited to see what they're going to have for this new Black Widow character in the films. And I think drive collectors drive these books up in value, obviously, but it's also going to demand for this character to have more of a presence in the Marvel canon, comic book canon, that is. Note, play on words there. In the current run. So we are going to see more of this character, I think, in new releases. And it's fresh. When anything is fresh, I'm always excited for it. So I'm happy to see these 2 books up there. I'm also happy to see books coming out of that late 90s era that are really getting looked at. And I know the Marvel Knights are kind of in a league of their own. You know, in 99, when they started doing the Marvel Knights, 2000, they did the they created the Ultimate Universe. That was when Marvel was trying to get back and get a handle on things. So, but yeah, ultimately, I love seeing these books up there. I am excited for this character in the future.
One thing I do want to mention real quick, I know this is mostly your segment, and I love you running with it, but now that Kevin Feige is also in charge of comic books for Marvel, you will start seeing more of these characters that he's going to be investing in. Not him, but as Marvel Studios is going to be investing in. So definitely be on the lookout for Yelena Belova.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So #2, another independent. I love talking about independents. Love me some Image. We got the Old Guard #1. This was just released last week. Netflix original film, Charlize Theron, or however you want to say her last name. I haven't watched it yet. I was planning on watching it. I failed my viewers because I wanted to watch this before tonight's show. But I may go out and watch it tonight. I've seen the trailer. It looks pretty awesome, man. And anytime that we have independent books and independent storylines that are getting their own TV shows and movies, whether to the big screen or to Amazon or Netflix and whatnot, I just think it's huge. And it shows how healthy this industry is. It goes back to what we were talking about in the news segment about comic book sales, having their best year on record. And I love this. Comic books aren't just about the superhero genre. Comic books aren't just about Marvel and DC. Comic books are about the totality of how we tell stories and the images that we pair with them. And to have this on this top 10 list, to have it having a successful Netflix release, it got an 81 on Rotten Tomatoes, which is an extremely solid score. So I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, again, it goes to say we want all comic book movies to succeed, even the ones without the suit, without the capes and tights, right? You look at a movie like The Green Mile, that was based off of a graphic novel, things like that. So mainstream may not pick up on it, but it also only grows and has people kind of put eyes on all of these properties and just put them out there. So absolutely. I'm excited. I haven't seen it yet either. It's in my queue.
Yeah. I have to be honest. The reason why I didn't watch it is because I'm currently doing a Star Wars marathon. So I can't break from it. I'll be leaving here and going and finish watching that. So
all right.
Moving on. All right. My number one book to talk about this week is, again, the number one book on the top 10, Thor number 5, first appearance of Black Winter. The reason why I really felt the need to talk about this again, and some people aren't going to like this, but I do. Last week, when this book hit number 1, did it hit number 1 last week? I do recall, or anyways, we know that it was in the top 10.
It did not. It did not hit number 1.
It wasn't number 1. That's right, because Ultimate Fallout 4 took that number 1 spot again. But it was there. It was close. It was on the top 10. And the book was going for $15, $20 like a week after its release, right? Now it's number 1. This book is going for $40 now. And here's my thing. People are going to get crabby about this and say, oh, the book just came out and now it's worth $40 and I can't afford it. And that's just wrong. I'm gonna sound like a broken record here. You had as much chance to get this book if you were reading Thor. If Thor's your favorite character, you could have picked up a previews issue and knew about Black Winter coming. You could have picked up issue number 4, knew from that cameo appearance that, oh man, Thor number 5's that book. Let me go pre-order it. Let me call my LCS and have them hold a copy on my pull list. You had enough opportunity, just like everyone else, to get this book before the price started soaring. And let me tell you why this isn't just about somebody going to a comic book store and hoarding all the books and then selling them on the secondary market. It's not the case. It's not the case, because everyone had the opportunity to get it. And now it's all about supply and demand. And those that did get it have it, and those that didn't want it. And they are willing to pay the 15 to 20 last week, the 25 to 30, and the 30 to 40 this week. And I love that. It shows that the industry is healthy. And I have to show off my virgin copy of Thor number 5 that I was gifted from an amazing viewer, Simon R. I just wanted to give him a big shout out and say thank you for this. I'm truly humbled. Yeah. But anyways, Thor number 5, man, Black Winter. I'm excited about the character, but I just love talking about this because I actually think it's a positive thing to see new books be so popular and in high demand.
Yeah, 100%. And it goes back to what you said. People are worried that it's the 90s all over again. It's not. Are they producing over 1 million copies like per issue? No, we cannot go there again. We absolutely cannot go there unless the demand is there. The demand wasn't there because, well, the only reason the demand was there was people were hoarding those, thinking they put their kids through college. Death of Superman, X-Men 1, et cetera, et cetera. Thor was probably under 100,000, maybe around 100,000, copies produced. Like, It's not the 90s. You're not seeing crazy covers with terrible interiors. Donny Cates is a proven commodity for Marvel, and he's delivered with Venom. He's delivering with Thor, and it's again, I think it's great that this book just came out and it's hitting those high numbers.
Absolutely. And another thing I want to add too is it actually, demand doesn't just create an influx of revenue on the secondary market. Okay. It actually allows for the publishers to produce second printings and third printings. And that substantializes sales and helps LCSs even more. So and it also helps those that want these books just to read them because Thor is one of their favorite characters. They weren't able to get the first print. If that's the case, you'll be happy paying $3.99 or $4.99 for a second or third printing once those come out. You just have to have a little patience, and that allows more, that first market, the market from the LCSs to get more money firsthand from these second and third printings. And it's just, you got to look at the business side of it and all from all aspects of it. It's all positive. I don't see anything negative about it.
Yeah, Kid Collector says, I'm kicking myself over Thor #5. Newbie Comics, I regret not picking the book up, but passed by a huge stack and wailed and just walked past it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are not alone in that. But that was a great top 10. We'll again have it next week. Right now, we're going to move on to our Q&A. And we had actually Kid Collector was asking about this. And it's interesting because this is maybe one that I regret not picking up too, because I've been looking in at my local comic shop and it wasn't there. What do you guys think about Strange Academy? I've been hearing amazing things about Strange Academy. I'm hearing a lot of speculators saying that all of these new characters are going to be in issue #2. I do not have issue #1 or issue #2. Your thoughts, Chris?
I am okay. I still don't. I'm not a speculator like that. I really am still at heart, even though I make basically my brand off of talking everything comics, and I love the speculating aspect. But when it comes to, if there aren't characters that I'm invested in, I'm not going to pay any mind to it, even if there's some kind of speculatory hype. And this is just something that I'm not knocking. It's just something that hasn't attracted my attention. So for me, it boils back down to what characters do I love and what piques my interest. And it's just not this. So when you talk about speculating, though, Kid Collector asked that, it's good that Kid Collector obviously is in the know about this and maybe has been just reading the previews mags or just going on the blogs and the YouTubers that are talking about all these things. And here's the great thing about it. Somebody like Kid Collector, if he's in it specifically for the speculatory value, he's in a position right now to where he's asking the question, and it's not going to break his bank to say, okay, I'm going to have my LCS set this book aside and spend $4 on it just in case.
Yeah, I don't think this is also coming from the speculating market. I think it's a hot book because people really like it. Right. I am not into Humberto Ramos's art, really. His run on Spider-Man didn't do anything for me anytime I see stuff that he does. But this is something that interests me. It's almost like I guess the way people are explaining it is almost like X-Men for magic, right? So the whole sorcerer kind of angle to it. So I'm interested in it again because a lot of people have been talking about it, but I have not picked it up. I missed out on it. So Kid Collector said he got 2 copies, and kudos to you. We have another good question from Kid Collector, though. Thank you for joining us, Kid Collector. Do you guys think that Marvel is going with Young Avengers or New Avengers? And I believe he's talking about the MCU. In my opinion, I would think they would go with the New Avengers over Young Avengers. However, I do also think that they're going to have a New Warriors element to it, to the MCU, or a younger group, younger band of superheroes coming together. It'd be interesting to see a Night Thrasher Speedball from Amazing Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, who might, because she's hot right now. Firestar, my bad. So there is that rumor there. I think both are going to happen, but I think that they're going to focus on a New Avengers with Captain Marvel as the team leader. over a young event. They'll prioritize a new Avengers over a young Avengers.
Yeah. I think I agree. I just don't think the characters of the Young Avengers would be strong enough to support a universe and film franchise of this magnitude. I think these are characters that are going to show up and be hot characters. If they show up, they're going to create high demand to their first appearances and those hot comic books that relate to them. But I just don't see them as being that team that is a film that like 5 years of movies kind of come back to. I definitely think it is more of a new Avengers. You think about Captain Marvel, possibly even Spider-Man, and these other characters that are already solidified, at least in the MCU or as more iconic characters in the comic books. And I'll end on this note. It might not be either or. You know, it could be something completely different. We really don't know at this point.
Yep, that's what's so fun about this universe that's been created 12 years ago. Like, we're all just so into it, on the edge of our seats, wondering and just trying to soak up any sort of news. And that's why we as collectors, again, enjoy speculating, enjoy talking about it. And this is one of the reasons why you and I have a show like this. You know what I mean? And you guys, the audience, are listening to it. But speaking of our show, that is the end of our show this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. While you're around, if you haven't already, why don't you just give us a little follow here at Comic Book Canon on Instagram, and it helps when you like and subscribe on the YouTube channel, because we are looking to kind of push the boundaries, do cooler things as we go along. We love talking about this hobby with you on a Friday night, and again, we're only going to try and make this show better. As you can see, again, my 3 Alpha flights are hanging right there. So my set design on point for you guys tonight. Chris, any final words? Any final parting words for our viewers tonight?
My final words is, I think our set was awesome because we went with the theme. Yellow cover comic books.
We did, yeah. I don't know that we didn't want to we were going to actually quiz you guys, but I figured we'd just give it away. Yes, yellow covered comic books. Amazing Spider-Man 129. Absolutely. Again, thank you all so much for joining us. We have a blast doing this show every week. We'll be back next week. Let's hope we get some really good news, because Comic-Con's right around the corner, and who knows what's going to happen. So y'all be safe. Have a great week, and we will see you next week. Right, Chris? It's next week.
We shall.
All right. Peace out.